Well, I'd like to introduce you to everybody. Hello to anyone watching, and welcome to the very first Ticket to Fitness chat. I wasn't sure, I didn't want to call it an interview, but I think chat's better really. So today we'd like to welcome Marilia Chamon. Have I got your name right?
Yeah, that's perfect. Well done.
Fantastic. Marilia is the founder of Gutfulness Nutrition Therapy, and really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
Great stuff. So basically, I think, you know, to give you a bit more of an introduction, certainly that you are an expert in all things gut related. And I know that you've got a kind of very personal reason for being so interested in and getting into this field. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing your story.
Yes, of course. So I started experiencing digestive problems after an episode of food poisoning. That was over 10 years ago. It started with severe bloating, pain, brain fog, and acid reflux. At the time, I saw multiple doctors, and all my test results came back normal. So I was told that there was not a problem, and it was a psychological issue. I was put under a lot of medications, antacids, antidepressants, acid blockers. At some stage, I was taking 9 pills a day, but obviously my symptoms didn't improve. Years passed, I saw more doctors, and my symptoms just got worse and worse. It came to a point that I couldn't eat anything without feeling unwell. I was constantly feeling exhausted. I had pain all over my body. And sometimes I had a hard time keeping a conversation because I had so much brain fog. Obviously, I felt depressed. I felt hopeless because conventional medicine just couldn't help me, although I knew there was something wrong with my body. So I saw myself in a position that I had to take the matter into my own hands, and I started to do my own research, and that's how I came across nutritional therapy and how I fell in love with it. So the gut is the epicenter of nutritional therapy, and I understood that if I had addressed the root cause of my problem back in the time, which was the bacterial infection, I could have spared so many years of suffering, and I didn't need to let my health deteriorate as it did.
Right. Okay. And it takes a very, very long time for doctors to diagnose any type of gut condition, I understand.
Yes. For me, it took 7 years, and that's usually the average. According to the researchers, they say it can take up to 7 years for you to get a diagnosis, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. Now, I think obviously a lot of people would have heard the term nutritionist, but you're a nutritional therapist. Can you,
yes.
That might be a new term to some people. Can you tell us a little bit more about the difference?
Yeah, of course. So nutritional therapy is an evidence-based discipline that uses nutrition to promote health and well-being. The core principle is to identify an underlying root cause of a person's symptoms due to any imbalance or dysfunction in the body. We then use food and supplements to manage that specific health condition. It can help with a wide range of symptoms. It can be digestive, it can be hormonal imbalances, chronic skin conditions, mental health. The list is really vast, so it can help with pretty much anything.
Okay. And I mean, looking at your website, it looks like there's quite a lot of things that poor gut health actually affects. What symptoms should people be looking out for? What do people come to you for?
So gut health can impact people in many different ways. It can present as more obvious symptoms that would be the digestive symptoms or irritable bowel syndrome, but it can also present as anxiety, depression, or autoimmune conditions. So I would say that if you have any persistent symptom, it should be taken into consideration. Bloating, indigestion, skin rashes, allergies, food intolerances, recurrence colds and flus. These are all signs of imbalances and dysfunctions. And in nutritional therapy, we see symptoms as a sign of the body telling us something isn't right. So it's worth keeping in mind if anything like that is recurrent and it's bothering you from living a normal life, then it should be addressed.
And what's the kind of point? Because I think, again, I've not had these kind of problems myself, but I think if somebody has an upset stomach, or if they get to thinking, well, I'm seeing my doctor and those symptoms are not really, the medication, whatever it is they're giving me is not helping, or is it something I'm eating? Is it something bacterial? At what point should somebody then, kind of look somewhere else if the doctor's not really helping?
So I think it's important to see a doctor and rule out specific health conditions such as IBD, which is inflammatory bowel disorder, or to make sure that, you know, there's not a cancer or anything more serious. But if you get a diagnosis of a chronic thing such as irritable bowel syndrome or acid reflux, and that you're just given pills and told to move on with your life, I think that is probably the right time to look for alternative medicine.
Do you think it's one of those conditions, sort of, you know, gut health is just, doctors automatically put that down to poor diet and not eating right, and off a little bit?
And often they also put it down to stress and anxiety, which, yes, there is a link, but it can't be all because of that. You know, there are other underlying causes to it as well.
Okay. And I guess, how can somebody measure their gut health? How do you know if you are gut healthy?
So there are many ways there are things to look out for. So again, as I said, if you're experiencing constant symptoms like bloating, constipation, food intolerances, feeling unwell, those are signs that the gut needs some work. Anybody is welcome to an appointment, even if they don't have a symptom, because nutritional therapy is about maximizing someone's health. And you can even find out that you are experiencing something that you didn't notice. Before I see a client, I ask for a complete symptom questionnaire that provides me the information that I need in order to assess which of the system of the body is in need of support. So I think by looking at the body as a whole is really how we measure how healthy a gut is.
Yeah. And does an healthy gut, can you look at somebody and know that they probably got an unhealthy gut? Like, you can kind of look at someone and know they're unhealthy in certain ways.
I don't think I wish it was that easy, but it can be a really silent condition. So not necessarily.
It might have lost your
Sorry?
video. It might have lost your video.
Oh,
there.
Really?
And you're back in the room.
Perfect.
Good. No worries. There was always going to be a technical difficulty.
Yeah, always.
It had to happen. It had to happen. So I guess, what are some of the common mistakes that somebody makes when it comes to gut health?
There are some really basic common mistakes. I would say probably number one is taking excessive medication, be it over the counter or antibiotics. They are all very harsh on the gut, and they have an impact on the diversity of our gut bacteria. And depending on how much you take it, how often, it can really cause irreversible damage. Eating the same foods every day is another mistake, because the key to a healthy gut is having a diversity of gut bacteria. And the best way to achieve that is by eating a varied diet. So if you keep eating the same foods every single day, you're not bringing that diversity in. And excessive alcohol, lack of sleep, high levels of stress, they all impact the health of the gut as well. So it's something to take into consideration. Okay.
And interestingly, I noticed on your website that you had, you sort of, and you touched upon this just a moment ago, in terms of stress, anxiety, you know, that can affect the gut. So for me personally, I couldn't kind of connect how, you know, because it's physical. Obviously, what's in your stomach is a very physical thing, but that manifests itself in you know, non-physical problems. So how can you kind of spot that and tackle that?
Yeah. So basically, the gut and the brain communicate via the gut-brain axis, and the brain sends information to the gut, and the gut sends information to the brain. So they are really constantly in this communication. And many studies suggest that an unhealthy gut actually triggers symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression in the brain. So if you address a gut issue, you will most likely address someone's mental health as well.
Okay. So if it's always my train of thought, so I've lost that then. So if you had, not the Yakults of this world, or kefir, you know, those very heavy bacterial type drinks, would that be enough to reverse bad gut health? Should people be taking that regularly?
Healing the gut is a really complex approach. So there's not really one thing that has to be done. It's a multifactorial. So you may need probiotic, prebiotic. You may need supplements. You may need to remove certain foods for a specific period of time. So just having one approach is hardly the solution if you have a specific gut condition. But if you're in overall, if you have a good gut health, eating a varied diet should be enough to keep it healthy.
Okay. You said something there, having either prebiotic or probiotic. I've not heard of prebiotic. What's the difference?
So the prebiotic is the fiber that feeds the gut bacteria. So you can have, for example, you can have kefir, which is a source of probiotic. But if you don't eat prebiotic fiber, which is found in certain foods, you're not feeding that bacteria, that probiotic bacteria. So then they would starve and eventually they will die because there is no food for them.
So I can't have a fry up and then a Yakult on the side.
No, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. No,
that's a shame. Okay, otherwise
I wish it was that easy.
Get out of jail free card there. And obviously, we were talking about foods and probiotics as part of a balanced diet. What about kind of water intake as well? How important is that?
Water is absolutely vital for every function in the body as well as for the gut. We need water to transport nutrients, oxygen, so it helps in every aspect, in every chemical reaction in the body, really. And it's also important for the gut because it stimulates digestion, it stimulates the production of stomach acid as well. So drinking water is probably the #1 most important thing that everyone should be doing.
Okay. And is it the 3 liters that they keep saying? Is that how much you need? Is that
it really depends on your body weight. So I think like 2 liters can be all right because we also get water from foods. So it's not just by drinking the water. So it's it depends on the person, and obviously if it's a hot day, if you exercise, if you sweat a lot. So like everything in nutrition is very personalized.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of leading on to my next question. I think if somebody was to pick up a book or look online, there's always so much information out there. How does somebody choose something that works for them, or you just have to keep trying different things?
Yeah, I think having a professional guidance is probably the best thing because since there is so much information, there's an information overload. It's very hard to navigate by yourself. So I do recommend that if people want to take it seriously, having a health professional guidance is really the answer to it.
Yeah, and if somebody was a sufferer, obviously they'd reach out to yourself. Is it kind of is there a support network out there on Instagram or anywhere else? There
is lots of support networks actually. For IBS and IBD as well, and sometimes each month of the year there is awareness of a special health condition, especially chronic conditions which are often overlooked. So if you Google, there is lots of support online, and also on Instagram there is a really big community. So make sure that people are never alone.
Okay, no problem at all. Well, that's kind of the roundup. Really, we did want to kind of keep it to about 15 minutes. So I think we're just on that at the moment.
Yeah.
But also from yourself, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you and find out more, where could they find you?
Yeah. So my website is gutfullnessnutrition.com, and they can also find me at gutfullnessnutrition on Instagram and Facebook.
Great stuff. Marilia, how do I say your name again? I'm really going to mess it up.
Marilia.
Marilia. I wrote it down and I've just still messed it up badly.
No worries, that's fine.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, really appreciate that, and we'll speak soon.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye-bye.